All right, welcome back to the Midnight Magic Musings channel. I am still your humble host, the Lord Cephas. I am joined by the Earl of Florida. Earl, how are you?
I'm great because back street back. All right. Okay. Yeah, but
Yeah,
we are
we
back.
we would do you like they did in X2. We would just take your radio privileges away if you were trying to play that uh, in the X car, I guess you would call it, from that movie. Wolverine was not apparently impressed with either NSYNC or probably Backstreet Boys as well. So probably not a fan of either. But your eyes do not deceive you, your ears do not deceive you. We are back. Midnight Magic Musings, episode number 41. We have returned from a significant hiatus, but we are back hoping to do these a little bit more frequently, a little bit more regularly. So let's jump right into it. We are going low tech because it's what we have and it's what we're going to do. So we're going to kick a little bit of old school. So, Earl, let's talk just a few minutes. It's good to have you back on the program. It's good to have a program back with you. Let's just kind of play a little bit of catch up here. Let's just hit a couple of topics and then we'll get out the door, let people get on their way. First of all, let's talk a little bit of Marvel. It's been a while since we've done that. They've released a couple of movies since we last recorded. They came out with Thunderbolt or the New Avengers, if you prefer. Numbers were not super great. Most likely lost money. You have Captain America, Brave New World. Numbers were okay, but based on the typical budget, based on the typical spend, probably lost money on that as well. However, they are getting ready to come out with a new series here shortly. I believe it's Wonder Man. Is going to be coming out here in just a little bit. Ironheart came out, but it did not do massive numbers on Disney Plus, which rarely do their shows do. Earl, what's your take on some of the what appear to be continual or perpetual woes that Marvel Disney faces?
Well, Captain America: Brave New World was one of the first ones out this year, and I think it was hampered by a lot of rewrites because we know that there was a wrestler who was supposed to be a villain in the movie. Then they wrote him out and added Mr. Esposito, the great villain and everything here lately. He was brought in, and there's this it was convoluted, and it was. I watched it and I was not impressed. I like Anthony Mackie. I enjoyed the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I enjoyed his version of Falcon in previous movies, and I was looking forward to seeing him as Captain America. But this movie was kind of lackluster for me. I mean, I love Harrison Ford too, but it was just it didn't hit the mark for me. Uh, it was it made me cry a little bit on the inside because it was just I had such high hopes because I love Harrison Ford, and I was like, yes, come on, Marvel, we're Captain America, a new. No, no, it wasn't. And the leader, it was just very. I was just very disappointed. So that was my take. Did you make it to watch it?
I did
Did you
watch.
actually?
I must say I did watch a little bit of it. I love Harrison Ford. I'm a child of the '80s. I love Han Solo. I love Indiana Jones. I love all of those things. So it breaks my heart to see the most recent Indiana Jones movie fail pretty badly, and for this series to, or this movie rather, I should say, to not be the hit that I wish it would be because I am a fan. I do want him to succeed. Unfortunately, that did not happen with this movie to the degree that it needed to. I agree. I love Anthony Mackie as an actor as well. I've enjoyed his time as Falcon. I did notice that when they were doing the press junket, they really tried to minimize the whole Captain America because I think you want to break into other countries, and of course we're not going to get into all these geopolitical issues that do on other channels. But I do think that some of that there is a backlash that it's Captain America, not Captain Britain. There is a Marvel character of Captain Britain. That's not who this is. This is supposed to be the American hero, the all American hero, if you will. And I don't feel like maybe necessarily they want to fully embrace that because again of the geopolitics of the world, it is what it is. We want to get our movies into other countries. We want them to succeed. But as you've noticed in these last several movies, the markets overseas have not been kind to blockbusters, specifically Mission Impossible, um, what Fast and the Furious, the most recent movies that typically do super well overseas did not, and these movies oftentimes hope for higher returns in China or Japan or some of these different areas, and they're just not seeing the numbers and returns. I think that, in my opinion, is probably the most telling part of all of this is that now as the international markets have begun to dry up, if you've got to rely on the more domestic production, I would say the more North American fan base, then maybe you cater more to what those tastes are. Not that you ignore your international partners, because that's not smart business, but you cater more to sort of the home team, lack of a better way of saying it,
Yep.
knowing what your fans will come out and see. And for me, I think that's part of the issue is that they don't have the built-in fan base that they did because the fan base, we've talked about this many times, is aging out. You know, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I liked it for what it was, right? But did that save the Marvel universe? No. It was an infusion of goodwill. It was an infusion of money because Sony makes things cheaply. No disrespect intended, of course, but budget still blown out of control. Inflation continues to rise. They're just not seeing the return. And I know they got Doomsday coming. I know that's going to be the thing, and we'll see how that works. If they go into
It may
Battle
be Doomsday.
World or what, I suspect that's what they'll do to try to do sort of a reset. Is what is rumored everywhere. But
Well,
with
that's
all the,
another problem.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Captain America 3, or 4, I guess, technically, Brave New World. I think part of the problem of not giving the fans what they wanted is what happened in the first act of the new Captain America movie. You had kind of a rehash of Captain America Winter Soldier and Captain America 3 Civil War, where you were like, oh, brainwash, is a good guy, is a bad guy, how do I fix this? Then in the second act, you have very similar to the Maximoff twins, specifically Scarlet Witch in Avengers Age of Ultron with the mind control stuff
Right.
going on. And then in the third act, the final act, you had the confrontation with Red Hulk, which was very similar to Iron Man and the Hulk Buster suit, the Hulk, or Thor versus Hulk Ragnarok. It's like we've done this. So they're kind of taken three different movie ideas and mashed them together, and there's nothing original there, in my opinion. And I think that was part of the problem. You're not catering to the fans. You're going, oh, this for care, this for care, this for care. What if we take these items, take these ideas, and mash them together, and we'll have three times the chance of hitting something good, or
You know,
you can strike up three times.
yeah, you're right, and it's a real danger of going too well too often because there's a difference between serving the fans and fan service. It's
Yeah.
really two different things, and look, it's not an easy line. Let's be honest, but one of the things that I see in movies in general, this is not a critique of Marvel by itself or Star Wars or anything to talk about on here, is the ability to tell stories does not come natural for whatever reason in the day in which we live. Writers seem to struggle to make a cohesive story. And again, it's not superhero related. It's just across the board, whether it's television. I mean, you look at Yellowstone, which was a massive hit until they replaced Kevin Costner at the beginning of season 5. Everybody knew it was coming. They just nobody knew how it was going to be. They replace him. He's gone. And all of a sudden the storyline just completely goes down because it's hard when you built the story to a certain point, then you have to change. Yeah, you have to change it on a dime. They did okay with what they had, but it really left the series on a very flat note. They didn't have much choice. Tulsa King seems to do a little bit better job of that. They have a little bit more stability, but again, you have an aging star who does a tremendous job in that series. But again, it's the ability to tell a long term story, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of it to go
Well, there's a
around.
reason. Actually, Tulsa King, from what I understand in the interview, Sylvester Stallone only planned on doing 2 seasons. He just kind of wanted to hit this great idea, hit it, but then he kind of fell in love and he wanted to do more stories. And what are they, season 4, I believe now?
Yeah, I think they're filming season 4.
Yeah, so, there's the thing where, but people are tuning in for it. That's something Marvel needs to pay attention to. Why are people watching something and not others?
Right. I mean, you can say, well, it's crass
What's going
language,
on?
and it
We're
absolutely
telling a story.
well, it's crass language, absolutely.
Oh,
But
that's fun. Yeah.
but yeah, and there's an element of that that appeals to people. I get that. But really, it's hey, he plays a believable character. Sometimes the storylines are a little bit on the outrageous side. Taylor Sheridan does kind of blend that line. I
More
get
of that
that.
line.
Um, but it entertains and people keep coming back. So that's why you see the Sheridan verse continue to grow with offering after offering after offering. As long as he's banging out hits, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. I think that's a challenge with Marvel is because they sort of dried up post Avengers Infinity War, post Spider Man, um, uh, what No Way Home. That really
Yeah.
was the
Yep.
crescendo in a lot of ways. And speaking of crescendo, I want to transition over to DC because there's been some interesting news over the last week or two, and that is the Godfather, your friend James
The
Gunn,
Godfather.
on the chopping block at DC. What do you say?
I think, well, we talked about it way back in the beginning. We said if he doesn't knock these things out, if he doesn't hit home runs right off the bat, DC wants to make some money because they haven't made money in a little while. So they wanted home runs, they wanted grand slams, and unfortunately, uh, the new Superman movie made less than Man of Steel. I think it was a little under around $100 million less than Man of Steel. It was in the 500 or something million range. And you also have to take into consideration ticket prices are more, so they actually sold even less tickets to this new Superman movie. So the question is, should we crucify James Gunn because of a mediocre outing for Superman, or do we would we want to continue to see what he's going to do with the new Batman movie that is going to be older Batman with the son of Batman, or Peacemaker 2 came out, and I haven't seen Peacemaker season 2, but I do know that apparently every episode that's come out has fewer and fewer viewers. So the finale had the least amount of views the entire series. That's not good either. I don't know what all happened in season 2 of Peacemaker, but that's not a good sign when you lose viewers every single episode that comes out consecutively. Um, Supergirl is the next big thing that's going to be coming out. What next year, I believe, and the the representation of Supergirl in the Superman movie, I did not want to go. That doesn't. That's not a superhero I want to go see. A drunk Supergirl. I took my daughter to go see Wonder Woman, the first one, outstanding, loved it. Strong female hero heroine uh, lead, but there's great story, there's great character development, there's great interactions there. The Supergirl I saw in Superman makes me go, you know what? I don't think I wanna. I don't think that I wanna go see that movie. Uh, so it's very. He's in a very precarious situation right now because he needed something to hit home run, and with the merger, they're looking to offer his head. Uh, I like James Gunn. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy was some of the greatest sci-fi comic book movies made. Because let's face it, it's not just a superhero; it's also science fiction because of the content, Guardians of the Galaxy. And so I really, really, really love, especially episode 1 and 2. And I do think he could do something, but he may not have a chance. What do you think?
So it's interesting. You referenced Supergirl just a minute ago. So scheduled to come out next year, as you said. But the other movies they've announced, Clayface. I
Yeah.
know Clayface from Batman the Animated Series. That was the first time I was ever introduced to him as a villain. Obviously, having gone back and looked at comic books, you learn a little bit more about these things. But I didn't know, right? Or not knowing about Man Bat or any of those things that we kind of learned, or the Harley Quinn they created based on the animated series. I don't know
The
that
animated series.
Clayface as a character is enough to carry a movie unless you made it a horror type movie. Maybe that's what they're thinking because typically horror movies have been built in as a genre, usually do well off of not a lot of money being spent. In this case, I'm sure they'd spend a lot of money on it. But again, I'm always leery of making movies where the bad guy is the focus. because ultimately, where do you go with that? They're not going to be redeemed. They may have qualities that are redeemable, but typically they don't redeem those characters. So I don't know how successful, in my opinion, mine only, folks, a bit character could. I mean, if you were going to do Two Face, if you're going to do the Riddler, if you're going to do the Joker, if you're going to do the Penguin, if you're going to do Mister Freeze, I could think of a lot of the rogues gallery, so to speak, from Batman
Yeah,
before I got down to Clayface. I would think about Killer Croc. There's so many different variations. Um, who was the
yeah.
one? You had the toy guy, um, and then you had the
Toy,
one guy
toy
that,
maker, toy maker.
yeah, I think so. Then you had the one guy that had the ventriloquist, that
Yeah,
had the dummy. I mean, I could think of all these different ones. And again, I'm thinking Batman the animated series or
yeah,
Batman and Robin. It's just what I do. But those
yeah.
come to mind first as, hey, that would be cool to see. But the truth is, we've seen most of those already. Whether it's in,
Well, I think
good,
no, I think what might be is because they saw the Batman that did well, even though that's an Elseworlds movie, and then they did the Penguin series on HBO that did well. I'm assuming because they're even talking about maybe doing a season 2 now.
yeah.
And then they go back and remember Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker that did outstanding financially for what it was. Uh,
Well,
my opinions on the movie.
at least the first one did.
The original, yeah, but the sequel, what did let's just say they did not hit that mark. So I think again that they're looking at things that have worked in the past, but like you said, Clayface, while the idea is intriguing, you can make it into a like a horror vigilante kind of series,
Yeah.
depending on how you wanted to make it where he starts on the path of revenge and vengeance or something with his new powers, but then he just goes off the deep end. But again, why not go with some because Clayface? People are going, oh, Clayface. I know who Clayface is. You know who Clayface is. People who watch the anime series, but that was okay. The anime series came out in the '90s. This is 2025, so there is well over 30 years gap, and so
And the assumption is everybody reads the comic books, and we know the comic book readership is extremely low. So
very low.
you're not drawing in new viewers, or I should say, new readers of source material. And as we know, as fans age out, oftentimes they don't come back to the properties they hold very dear and very near to their heart when it's not represented the way they want, whether it's fair or unfair.
Exactly.
It's how we are. And then you mentioned Peacemaker. Um, right now, there's no plans to make Peacemaker a season three. Now,
Yeah.
something happens in the series or season finale, depends on how that turns out. That will play into the movies. What James Gunn said, there's a story arc that begins. I don't think that John Cena's role as the Peacemaker is going to be eliminated or forgotten. I think he'll still play a part in the movies because he's a valuable property. As you know, he's retiring at the end of the year from WWE. He's been very active in movies. No, I can see you actually. Um, that's right. Living on Earth, but kick in Uranus, I believe, was one of the lines from Basic Thugonomics. Probably the best line. Or Two Face Rappers leaving with four shiners. Also, maybe one of the best lines from Basic Thugonomics. But again, saying that I endorse the song, but I may have heard it once or twice. So it seems like there's a lot of flux. You have the Man of Steel, the Superman follow up coming out as well. You have the Batman movie from the older Batman. Again, it really feels like we've talked about superhero fatigue, and to be honest, I've denied it for a long time because I feel like if we told good stories, people will come. I'm at the point now where I've been worn down, I've been fatigued, that I feel like even if the stories are really good or close to being really, really, really good, I still think there's a hesitancy where you have lost a segment of people because number one, ticket prices cost too much. Number two, I can get VOD. Or number three, is it streaming on HBO and streaming and showing in the theaters? Is it going to be a 45-day, 60-day, 90-day window if you're talking about Disney Plus? But again,
Yep.
that's probably a larger discussion about the nature of the industry in general, how that's going to play out. But yeah, it's to me, it's very, very interesting that both companies are really struggling right now. It would seem, no matter how much you hype it up, the numbers are the numbers. And I still come back to, even if a movie breaks even, you lost money,
Yep.
because that's not, I started to say taxpayers, that's a Freudian slip. It's not what stockholders are investing for. They're not investing to break even. You invest to
Well,
get a return on your investment.
we're looking at it like a job. If I'm going to work a 40-hour job and I work, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, but I'm also having to pay gas, I'm having to pay everything, and my paycheck comes back just reimburses the gas I paid into it. I broke even, but the thing is, I just waited 40 hours of my life just to break even.
Yep.
Nobody in their right mind is going to do that in the regular lives. And let's face it, these movies sometimes take 2, 3, 4, 6 months to film. And
Yep.
if you're literally breaking even, you just wasted a quarter of your year, half a year of your life. You wasted with nothing to show for it. So yeah, when you look at it at that perspective, it goes. That's why a lot of these companies are getting more gun shy.
Yeah, and whereas comic book movies were bankable at one time. Look, we've lived through this in our lifetime. We transitioned from war movies and westerns to
Yep.
more police procedurals. There were always comedies here and there, but we had a time where there's comedies. Now you couldn't have a comedy save your life. The Naked Gun, the reboot, or actually I wouldn't call it a reboot, sort of a continuation of the franchise. That was an unashamed.
Horrifying.
It was an
Horror.
unashamed.
Did you watch it?
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to watch this movie. The Naked Gun, the new one, horrifying in every way imaginable. The best scenes in the movie were probably in the trailer, and those are very tongue in cheek. If you see the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. But those are the best parts of the movie. I watched this movie. I've got like 15 minutes left in the movie, and I can't make myself hit play because no,
I
I
but
just
see, I argue with that too. If you we don't know comedy
you
anymore
know,
as a society. I could swipe and look, I'm not gonna be that guy sitting on my front porch yelling at the clouds that going by. But the truth is, what we consider to be comedy is we swipe on TikTok or YouTube, which we're a fan of the platform. That's not comedy. So we don't have a generation. We have comics. Some are very, very good still, but comedy, there aren't very many comedies in terms of movies. You might have holiday themed comedies, and they do, okay, depending on the cost to make it. But yeah, it's definitely a fatigue. I feel like of people just don't want to put in the effort to go out to the movies for all the things you've got to deal with. For example, where I live, it's about 20 minutes from my house. That's not a bad thing. It's got really good concessions, but they're expensive. It's got really nice seats, but depending on what showing you're going to, it can be very expensive. Take a family of six, which I have. Um, yeah, maybe that's a once a month treat that they get
yeah,
to have, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. So if you have two blockbusters opening at the same time, we'll pick one.
exactly.
And now for my oldest who has a job, makes her own money, well, you can go see anything you want, right? But so that's it. That's a challenge
Yep.
itself. I got one more thing for you, then we'll get out of here. Like I said, we just want to do
Okay.
just a quick hello and return. Tron Ares. You have a few words.
Yes, it's called What Else Can Jerry Nader Kill? What franchise can he butcher? Let's go back. Morbius, a comic book character. Although that movie was just that I can't blame that on him. But that was just he killed that. That's not coming. You're gonna put that over there with Craven. It's not happening again. Let's go backwards. Suicide Squad, right?
Okay.
You know, it was an. I will admit, it was an intriguing idea. He was quite possibly the worst part of that movie, and that has a few things to say. If you've seen the CGI monsters and things in it, um, it's just he struck again. He gave him another franchise, Tron Ares, which I was really looking forward to, and apparently, what is it? Uh, just don't delete. Look at his task manager here and delete that from happening. That and I haven't seen the movie, so I'm just saying this what the box office is saying and what people are saying that this movie was a stinking pile of poo That I poo.
Well, we often talk about Disney under-reporting their budgets. I get
Oh
into spirited discussion with people all the time. You don't know. You're right, but I read a lot. And
yeah, yep,
originally the story being floated was, oh, the budget was only 170, 180 million. But even Deadline came out and said it's well over 220. Now that's just the budget for making the movie. We're not talking about ad sales and all of that. But even if we are, let's say 220 is the number.
yeah,
Right now, best estimate, this is if you are a true believer and you've got the ears on and the mini colored glasses on, it
yeah,
might hit 160 million. We're talking total global. So
yep.
if you spent 220, you're making 160, you're losing at least 60. And 160 at the global box office is probably pushing it anyway. And again, if it's anything above 220 for ad purchases or marketing or any of that, it's another massive loss. And as a Tron guy who grew up with the movie, the original, who loves the ride at Disney, even though it's only like 41 seconds or whatever it is, it's less than a minute, I believe. But it's fun, right? Because it goes really fast. You feel like you're on the bike, you're doing something cool. Very, very sad that that franchise is in shape. But again, I go back to, you know, stories matter. That we're wrestling fans. We talk about that on on this channel sometimes. Jerry Jarrett,
Yeah.
who was a promoter in Memphis, used to have a sign on his wall in his office that said, "Personal issues draw money." In other words, if you can get the people to invest in whatever it is, they'll come out to see it. And I feel that's the
Well,
same way with storytelling in general. If you give me a reason to want to see it, I'll find a way to see it. And
yeah.
unfortunately, I just don't feel the want to in a lot of these
Well,
cases.
I think so. 2025, the worldwide box office. Number one is Kneesaw 2, a sequel. It destroyed with almost 2 billion worldwide. Number two, Lilo and Stitch, which let's face it, that is a franchise that's been around for a long time. So that is something that it's a marketable franchise. Number three,
But just
Minecraft.
remember, Ohana does not mean family in that movie. But I digress. Go ahead.
Uh, Number three is the Minecraft movie, a very big IP. So I mean, and games. Number four, Jurassic World Rebirth, another franchise. Number five, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry, but it's the movie The Infinity Castle. It's not the first one. Then you got number six, How to Train Your Dragon, another IP. Number seven is actually F1 the movie, and that that worldwide gross was a little over 600 million. And then you've got Superman number eight, Mission Impossible number nine, Fantastic Four First Step, a reboot, reimagining franchise that's been around forever. And number 10, The Conjuring number four, number 11, Captain America Brave New World number 12. And at this point, we're down to 415 million worldwide. Thunderbolts number 13, down to 382 million. Then you got Sinners, which was an original idea from what I understand. I haven't seen it. There's some questionable storylines that I just can't bring myself to watch from the trailers, and with my kids, obviously I can't do that. But you've got Final Destination, another IP, Weapons, which is a new one, a horror movie. Now you're down to $267 million worldwide. And number 17, Bad Guys 2, again IP. Snow White, One Battle After Another, Elio, Freaky Friday, 28 years later, Dogman, and now we're down to under 150 million worldwide growth. What have all these had in common? And you can keep going. Bridget Jones, Ballerina, part of the John Wick world. These are all IPs that have been around. They're either sequels, reboots, reimaginings, but they're all the majority of them are franchises that people are going to go see because they know them, they're familiar with
You have a built-in fan base.
them. Exactly. And those are your highest grosses. The top 20, I think there's maybe four that were original. And by number 20, you're now, number 20 is at $154 million worldwide gross. And
And with inflation being what it is, that it doesn't even mean, what it would have meant 5 years ago.
that's five tickets. That's
Yeah.
five,
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's all. That was my one trip to
five
the
tickets and a
theater.
popcorn.
Right.
No, no drink, just 5 tickets and a popcorn.
Just bring your own popcorn box. Say, here, fill it for me. But yeah, no, you bring up really great points. The majority of the movies you read off are franchises or
Yep.
franchised in some, or maybe a spinoff of an existing franchise. And we know that's coming with Zootopia 2, which, by the way, I love Zootopia 1. I did. I own it, and I stop it. You know, I love that. And I'll be back for number two, and I'll probably enjoy that as well.
Yeah,
But again, to your point, it's a sequel. It's not an original
entertaining.
idea, and a lot. It's not that Hollywood is not producing its original ideas. We've seen Disney do several of them over the last few years, whether it was um, Strange Worlds, which did not do super well. Red did not do great.
Yeah,
Encanto actually did really, really well because it ended up on Disney Plus during the pandemic,
yeah,
and it's actually got quite a following. And good, and by the way, good for them on that. But the majority of the fresh new ideas just haven't stuck, and it's not a Disney issue. It's an issue across the board. Because, like I said, and I'll give you the last word. YouTube has really leveled the playing field. Rumble has leveled the playing field. TikTok has leveled the playing field. All these platforms you can go on and watch endless amounts of content for entertainment, and that can be sports entertainment, that can be politics, that can be spiritual things or religious things, all the way down to the cat chasing the laser or playing with the yarn or my wife had Lady Cephas had holiday decorations at Halloween that scared people when they come up on the
yep.
porch. Or there was one of a bear who got spooked by one of those um,
And fell
sensing.
over finishing.
And no, it got spooked and yelled and took off running and bounced off someone's SUV and kept on going. It's a big thing, but he got scared and spooked. We have so
Yeah.
many different forms of entertainment now versus television with a limited finite amount of channels or a movie. Now I've got so many other options, or I can just go to Netflix and find movies I didn't even know existed, or
Exactly.
any of the other channels for whatever genre you want. But that's what I have. Earl, I'm going to give you the last word on this, so we're going to shut it down.
Well, pretty much we're wanting stories that can tell us a story that gets us emotionally involved and invested in these characters. And unfortunately, a lot of these franchises they're just retreads. Is what they are. They're just retreads, and it's making the bigger companies go, okay, we can't spend this much anymore. But it's also emboldened some of the smaller companies to throw some money down, like the A24 studio just did the smashing machine with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, but they're going to break even. And the only reason they're breaking even is because they sold the distribution rights overseas and left them holding a bag of we didn't even get our money out of it.
Right.
And so even these smaller companies that wanted to go bigger, they can't because there just aren't the viewers. Now I haven't seen the movies, so I don't know if it's good. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So I can't say one way or the other. The thing is, like you mentioned, movies have changed. We can stay at home and wait a month and a half to 3 months and watch it on one of the streaming services we're already paying for. That's less than a ticket, like half the price of a movie ticket a month.
Right.
And so, unless you can do something to say, okay, if you want to see, this is and some of the movies have done this where it's a spectacle. Avatar 2, part of it was like you have to go see this in theaters in 3D because the first one was you had to see it in 3D. It has to be something that grabs people, but I think we're jaded since COVID, since the world changed, and it's still changed. And I think part of us is jaded, and part of us is also not trusting because these movie theaters aren't giving us something that we're like, oh, when was the last time you watched the movie and you're still talking about it a week later? Avengers 1 came out, we were talking about that a year later. Ultron, we were still talking about half a year later.
Right.
And we need movies that make us want to talk about. And unfortunately, across the board, we just begin retreads or lackluster movies. Even Minecraft. I think my kids will see it because it's Minecraft, of course, and they loved it, but they wanted more. And so it's across the board. We have to. The studios are gonna have to do something, or else we're just gonna keep getting the same thing, which is horrifying. And also, since I mentioned the Minecraft, I have to go. La 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 lava. Chicken. That song was stuck in my head for 3 months. 3 months.
You know what song was stuck in my head equally?
What?
The love ballad to Princess Peach. Peaches, 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 peaches. That's how I'm going to end what I have to say. Jack
But
Black
yeah,
nailed it on one take. So he can do things that do entertain.
yeah.
All right.
But
Well,
yeah,
we
that,
good.
that's it. Give us something.
Give it. Well, here's the interesting thing. We ask for something fresh, we get something fresh, then it doesn't get supported.
Oh
So,
yeah,
so then you end up with what you just said. We go back to the well that we know that works, but even that has diminishing returns, which we'll talk about on some things of next week's program. But Earl, it sure is good to see you. It certainly is good to talk to you. We appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to us this evening, this morning, this afternoon, whenever you are joining us. Remember to click that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. We do appreciate it. It does help the channel. For the Earl of Florida, I still, but your humble host, Lord Cephas. You take care, everyone. Midnight Magic Musings episode 41 is coming to a close. We will see you all again next time. So long, everybody.